So you're getting a little sick of the usual grind, you're considering a career pivot, you've even thought of becoming a yoga teacher, but is that really viable for full-time income? Let's break it down. The bottom line is yes, but, okay? Let's look at the various options you have. And this is coming from someone who's been a career yoga teacher for 15 years now. You have lots of options. Number one being teaching group classes at a studio or perhaps at a gym, even like a rec center basement, something like that. How much can you realistically expect to make from group classes? I'll tell you right now, I'm going to go from sort of least to best opportunities for making money. And we'll break down why they might be easy and what the challenges are that you'll face for each one. Relatively easy to get into group class teaching. This is a big old average I'm going to give you, but I'm going to say you'd be lucky to bring in roughly $50 per class. It's not a ton of money. You'd have to teach so many classes to make that a viable income, and that's not even a guarantee. A lot of places will have, like, if you have very few attendees, they'll give you 10 or 20 bucks just to be there. And then a lot of studios will cap you at like 70 bucks. Now you can negotiate this. An excellent price or payment for teaching group classes is somewhere around $100. If you think of it this way, if you taught a class to 10 people, they're paying 20 bucks a piece. The studio or the rental fee is about half of that. So again, you'd be lucky to make about 100 bucks. Not terrible for a little extra money, but also remember, it's not a guarantee. I personally think that teaching group classes is wonderful for getting experience in the yoga field, for meeting lots of people, for networking, and ultimately for kind of seeding the other ventures that you might move into. So what are those? Another venture is private sessions or one-on-one classes. Now, the benefit of these is that you can charge a little more. In my area, it's common to see private lessons ranging from anywhere from $70 to about $110. I'm in like a suburb north of New York City. So again, for your time, it's decent money, but it's not huge money given how it's not very likely that you'd have multiple privates a day, although you could work on that. What makes this easy is that if you teach group sessions and you network with enough people and then you meet people in an individual level, it's easy enough. If you're the sort of person who isn't afraid to, make your services known, then it can be relatively easy and organic to acquire one-on-one clients. But it's not going to be an incredible kind of payment, and you're still trading time for money. So it's all right, it's great experience, but I think we can do even better. Let's see what's next. You have experience with group classes, you even have experience teaching one-on-ones, and you realize that you have a lot to offer. You can make people's lives better. Well, the next step would be to create some kind of program. So course creation or program creation. I'll give you an example of how this might play out in the real world. Let's say you have a private customer or client and they're struggling with something. It could be anything from back pain to Parkinson's disease, and you just so happen to have found out that you really know how to bring this person from their original state into a state where they feel better in their own bodies. Well, why share that with only one person? Wouldn't it be a good idea to write down the outline of what you've done and create something like an 8-week program so that now you can open this out to a bigger population and help more people? And so if you create an 8-week program, you could easily do this with something like Kajabi, or there's Teachable, there's Thinkific, all sorts of little course creation programs that make it really, really easy to kind of plug and play and systematize an 8-week or whatever, 6 to 12-week program. And the nice thing about this is that you can charge a little more for it, especially if you're going to show up in like live weekly calls. I would encourage you to charge $1,000 or more. And before you tell me that that sounds outrageous, let me just say that remember, you are helping people significantly. If you were to undercharge, let's say you charge like $200 for it, you're only going to get a certain measure of commitment from your people. But if they are making a real investment in this program, then they are going to bring their full selves to this. They're going to take seriously any recommendations you gave them for at-home practice, and they're going to show up week after week. So I would argue, and I'll argue it forever, that when you charge a bit more, so you're entering like high ticket territory, people get more invested, and therefore you help them in a more significant way. I don't believe this is greed. I believe this is wisdom. But of course, you charge what you're comfortable with. Point being that even if your range is from 200 to 1,000 or 200 to 500, you are going to be making more per hour, I guess. And then also you can attract more than one client at a time to this higher ticket item. The question I think that will arise is like, yeah, but I don't have a big online presence, or maybe you do, but if you don't, you can still get people into programs like these. And the fact is that, remember how I said it's really great to network at your group classes. You are never going to have a better networking opportunity than those in-person opportunities. So it's worth your while to have at least 1 or 2 group classes on your schedule. It might not be where you make the hugest amount of money. However, you are meeting and interacting with people and finding out what their real world needs are. Second, if you have private lessons that come out of those, you get to work with people more intimately, and you get to start to think about what sorts of program you might create for people that you can offer to a wider audience. And then you just get up and running with your online audience. Now, I will also say that marketing is a big factor here. So if you're the type of person who just cannot stand marketing, well, welcome to the club. Lots and lots of yogis have tough time marketing. But I think of it this way. Marketing is good communication, man. We're not against communication, right? So if you have a service that you can offer people, relief that you can bring people, you make them feel better in their own skin, then it is wrong, in my opinion, to hold that to yourself, to keep it to yourself. So let's sing it from the rooftops. You've got something real good going here. You got a wonderful program in you, and marketing is simply the act of communicating that fact. Let me offer one last thing for you that I do think is important you start thinking about right out of the gate. So it's become well known now that the yoga market has been a little more saturated, but by the way, it's still a multi-million-dollar or multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's expected to grow as the years go by. So there's plenty of room for everyone. It's just that by offering like a general sort of style of yoga, you might not be able to distinguish yourself in the market at this stage, but that's not a problem at all. It just means that it could be a good idea to, I'm not even gonna, I don't like the word niche down. I mean, it's fine, but it doesn't really encapsulate the idea. What encapsulates the idea is this notion that you have a specific problem that you can solve for people. So the more specific you can get, the more marketable your idea. And if you're not sure what that specific problem is that you could solve, think about some of the problems that you've solved in your own life. Maybe you helped yourself get stronger. Maybe you stretched your hamstrings successfully. Maybe you learned inversions. Maybe you took care of your own back pain. Maybe you suffer from digestive issues and you found that certain yoga practices could help you. Maybe you calmed your anxiety. You could go on and on and on. But something that you've solved for yourself or someone in your close network could be something that you could apply to help others really pretty easily. And that is where these programs can get created, and that's where the real money can come. Another one we'll talk about today is membership offers. So I actually have a membership offer online. The nice thing about this is that you get to control what the offer is. So are you going to be offering something once monthly? Are you going to be offering something daily or weekly? The choice and the schedule are yours. In addition, you're going to be able to collect recurring revenue for this. So let's say you charge like anywhere from $10 to $50 a month, and you attract, say, 20 to 100, or maybe way more than that, people. Maybe it's not a huge amount of money, so at the bottom it would be $200, but you're making as much as whatever that is, 50 times 100, $5,000. a month. Big range here. The bottom line being that it's money that's going to come in week after week after week and be really stable for you. So it doesn't have to be the centerpiece of your earnings, but it can give you a nice little safety net while you build out other courses or programs. And you can do memberships online, or of course, you could do memberships in a studio, brick and mortar environment. And you can even do something as simple as, I'll give you a quick example. We have an art studio in my community, and they have this like big empty room that they don't use. They want to use it. So they'll rent it out for real cheap, and you could theoretically have people coming to you week after week or even paying you membership fees. So you can easily, test the waters to see whether or not opening a brick and mortar style of studio is even a good idea. Down the line, of course, you could be opening up a studio of your own, and it's a path I took. It's a path I loved and I recommend. But if you're just getting started, I'm super curious, like, what is on your mind? What are you worried about? What do you think would hold you back from making real money teaching yoga? So back to the original question, is it possible to earn a genuine full-time income teaching yoga or teaching yoga on the side? And the answer is yes. However, it's going to take some creativity on your part, and it's going to take a willingness to invest probably in your local community first and have lower paying jobs that could potentially yield better paying jobs down the line. It is going to take a certain amount of confidence on your part, but it can totally be done, especially if you have good services to offer. I'd love to know, what are you thinking? Career pivot? What might get in your way? Let me know what else you'd like to learn about teaching yoga and what is possible.